Hello, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk Wrestling. And in this week's episode, we're going to talk about WWE2k22. Now, I don't know when this episode is going to come out, but I do know that when it's being recorded, WWE2k22 came out for everybody just yesterday. It launched, if you didn't pre-order the deluxe or NWO edition, it launched depending on the time zone and location. But in my time zone, it launched at 11 o'clock on March 10th, which was 12 a.m. Eastern Time yesterday morning. So, here's what I'm going to say. The game, I'm going to talk about the pros, the cons, everything. We're going to do a deep I'm going to try and do as deep a dive as possible. Let's start with the mechanics. Now, the game starts with a tutorial that teaches you the new control scheme, because this is the second time they've redesigned something in the controls or overhauled the controls entirely. Some holdovers from 2K20 exist, like the reversal being Y instead of the trigger buttons, one of the trigger buttons. The pin minigame is different. You have to mash, depending on the console, the button changes, but for the Xbox, I believe it is A. The pin, I don't remember if that's the same from 2K20. I instinctively went to B because I was playing 2K18, and the pin button was B. So, it was definitely a learning curve. Of course, you have the Rey Mysterio Showcase, which is a mode that I played a little bit of yesterday. Very, very cool with the way they did the cinematics, or they transitioned from gameplay to cinematic back to gameplay. This is my first gripe, and it's just with that mode. Where did the commentary go? Like, if they replaced it with the music because of the transition from cinematic to gameplay, that's fine. I don't know what was going on with it, because most showcases still had commentary. Like leading up, like from 2K16, 2K17's Hall of Fame showcase. 2K18 didn't have a showcase. 2K19 had a showcase. Every showcase up until now has had commentary in the matches. And I'm just like, what's with the music? I don't get it. I didn't understand it, and I don't know the reasoning behind it, but it is a reason nonetheless. So there wasn't much to go into on that, because it's literally matches throughout Rey's career. They've got highlights like Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio versus Shawn Michaels, Rey Mysterio versus JBL, Rey Mysterio versus Kane, Rey Mysterio versus Undertaker, Miz. You get the point. It's a showcase mode. Other than the commentary being cut, it's, and that's just a minor thing that I didn't get. That's why I'm like, why the heck? My Rise. I'm going to say formerly known as My Career. I don't know. I played yesterday when I played a fairly decent amount of it. I'm not gonna lie. I played a fairly decent chunk of time. Not a fairly decent amount of the mode, but a fairly decent chunk of time. It took up most of my day. Um, it, I, I don't know what to say. Like, it starts off like your basic My Career start point. You know, you start at the Performance Center, then you go to whatever brand, because that's actually different. You don't go from Performance Center to NXT to Raw or SmackDown. You can go straight from the Performance Center to Raw or SmackDown. And each show has a set of stories you can complete. Some of them require a certain alignment, and for those that are wondering what I'm curious, or that are curious about what I'm talking about, in professional wrestling, there are, or in sports entertainment, I'm going to call it that because that's what this WWE calls it. But in pro wrestling and sports entertainment, there's an alignment. You're either a face, a good guy, or a heel, bad guy. I'm doing this for the wrestling normies that are not smart about this, and I'm probably not even smart about it, but it's very disjointed for a mode. One thing that, and these are minor, in my opinion, they're minor gripes. It's a fun mode, but I just wish that they would keep track of the months, or like there was some semblance of time in the My Rise. Because just because you have stories doesn't mean it's taking place one after another. It's literally, I went from Fastlane to Payback. No explanation. And I won the Intercontinental title and I don't even get to keep it. So, I don't know. Other than that, it's a fine mode. It's fun. You can, one thing I should mention too before I, forget, you can play as a male superstar or a female superstar. I have played as a male, because I'm just like, I don't know. I'm doing these podcast episodes one after another because I really wanted to talk about 2K22. Overall, I haven't played the female path yet, and at this moment, I'm gonna see if I can completely finish. I don't know if there is a way you can completely finish a My Rise mode, but we'll wait and see. So, one of the big things before I move on is that one of the big things I wish I could have, I wish for this mode in the future is add in a semblance of time and ranking. The My Career was probably a lot better. I liked My Career a lot more. Granted, here's the thing. They took elements of the My Career, especially in 19 and 20, 2K19 and 20, and then put that bit into the My Rise, which I like the chapters, but not everything is a story almost. There are one and done side stories, so that's actually kind of nice. I do like having a quest, and I know you guys can see me kind of moving my hand. I do like having that one and done kind of side quest. And usually it's, can you have this type of match? Can you do this? Like, really, it's interesting. So I'd like to see them expand upon it in the future. My GM, the mode that everybody is hyped for. Very, very interesting. I like it. It's bringing back the GM mode from previous games, so like the SmackDown vs. Raw series, and God, it's, it's fun, but I think the gripe that I've heard, well, the gripe that I have is I wish it was longer than a year. Like, I wish you could do it for as long as you want, to actually try and get better with your rosters. But then again, you could think of it like this. You'd have a year on Raw, then you'll have a year on SmackDown, then you'll have a year on NXT, then you'll have a year on NXT UK. So I think that's fine. I do like how in depth it is. You can sign superstars, manage your roster, look at the logistics of shows. Of course, book the shows. It's all there. It's really fun, and I really enjoy it. I just wish that if you play the matches, they had the damn star count. I'm curious, and this is just me being curious right now. I'm curious how those matches are rated. I really am curious how those matches are rated, because the matches themselves, you're not going to know the rating until the match is over. And honestly, that's what hurts the most, I think, for me, is like, it's a minor nitpick. It's not perfect. Okay. So, here's a kind of a major nitpick for me, I guess, is on the Xbox Series S, it fucking crashes. It crashed like 3 or 4 times for me yesterday. And I don't know why. I don't know if it was just... It was strange. Because I was even trying to, like, set up my rosters. Because I was playing this till, like, 1 in the morning yesterday morning, and then I went to bed. I was trying to set up my rosters for GM mode, or set up my roster. And I did the auto draft to see what I would get, and it would crash on me. Like, I'm like, what the hell? So, I hope that they don't introduce patches that, break more things, but I don't know. Overall, it is a step up from 2K20. One thing I don't like is when you press one of the bumper buttons, they'll just grab onto the ropes and stand there. So I don't know if that's kind of trying to initiate a move or whatever, but I don't know if that's what it's trying to do or not, but I don't know. Overall, the game is great. Not perfect by any means. I don't really know how I feel about... Well, again, with the My Rise, one of the biggest things is it feels very disjointed to me. Like, people will be like, what does that mean? There's no semblance of time unless you know where you need to go to make it feel like there's a semblance of time. Because I was doing a bunch of the side quests, then I'd go to the GM's office, then I'd go to the pool, like I believe on SmackDown it's the hotel lobby, the GM's office, and the pool hall. I went to SmackDown because that's the show I remember watching the most of growing up. Because I don't think for a while there we had USA Network. And back when I was watching it, it was on Sci-Fi. And I don't even remember the other channel. Like, it switched from the other channel, which I believe in my area was My 29. I don't remember, what that channel was, other than that name. It switched from My 29 to Sci-Fi, and then it switched... Then we didn't have cable, so I couldn't watch it, and I just started watching YouTube clips again. Um, but to be honest with you, WWE 2K22 overall feels like a good game. It looks great. It plays better. I haven't run into massive glitches yet, where in cutscenes a player is completely invisible or not. Well, I shouldn't say invisible, but not present. Therefore, basically making the match unplayable, not the game, because the game will still pause and whatever, so it doesn't soft lock. I haven't run into cutscenes like those. One thing that is a new addition is the stun meter. I forgot about that. So in this game, there's a stun meter, and you can hit combos. That is something that I'm like, okay, that's gonna take some getting used to. It's the different control scheme with the different types of attacks you can do, right? So you've got light attacks, heavy attacks, and grab attacks or grapples. Um, you can do many combos, and I've actually had to reference the combos screen for a bunch of them because I'm like, what are the combos again? Of course, people would be like, it's not that hard. You can just, memorize them. And by the way, for people that are going to correct me on the release date, the pre-order, if you pre-ordered the Deluxe Edition and the NWO for Life Edition, it came out on March 8th. But for those of us that didn't spend $100 to $120 on it, it came out on March 10th or 11th, depending on your time zone or region of the world you're in. Because the pre-order bonuses... Oh, and I should speak about that. The pre-order bonuses. If you pre-ordered any edition, I'm just going to go standard, like overall, what is across all editions of pre-order, is the Undertaker DLC. You've got Taker 95. I'm going to say 95, 96, because you can easily manipulate the 95 attire to look like his 1996 attire. By just removing the mask. Undertaker 99. I'm not saying 98 because that's not what Taker looked like in 98. He didn't have the ministry until January of 99. In fact, it was the first Raw of 1999 that he got the Ministry of Darkness together. So, a little bit of inaccuracy there. But, again, a nitpick. You've got Taker 2002, which comes out to the Big Evil theme, and Undertaker WrestleMania 36. Which also comes out to the Big Evil theme because there's music rights there that I don't think they wanted to deal with royalty payments. Because people wanted to have Now That We're Dead by, I think it's Now That We're Dead by Metallica from the Hardwired album. But they were like, no, we're gonna put Big Evil, that you're gonna pay by our own music department. So, then, there's the various intricacies that I don't remember for the Deluxe. I think it's the Season Pass, and you get to play it a few days early. The NWO has playable characters like Bischoff, Hollywood Hogan, Syxx, and then 2 arenas and 2 title belts. And the reason I didn't go for the $100 bundle, well, many reasons. I have personal reasons. I'm like, I don't want to spend that much on a game that I don't know was worth it. Here's the thing. I was cautiously optimistic because of what happened with WWE 2K20. I was very cautiously optimistic, as I think a lot of people were. And I'm still gonna be cautiously optimistic going forward, because WWE 2K20 should not have been that broken and that buggy to points where it would randomly crash on the title screen. I have not had that happen during my time playing WWE 2K22. So, something else I would like to point out, though, is I just had a panic attack for a minute. Like, I shouldn't even say panic attack, but I just kind of went, oh god, we weren't recording at all. But the selection of superstars is vast. There aren't as many unlockable arenas. I think they did end up cutting a lot of stuff out. They ended up cutting out the advanced entrances, which is I'm kind of bummed about that, because I liked messing around and creating my own entrance. But that was allegedly what was causing a bunch of crashes. So, if they had to make sacrifices for performance, that's good. That's fine by me. Personally, there are some things about the controls that infuriate me, like in the menu for the Halloween Havoc. I don't know if this is a match in all platforms, but I'm just gonna mention it. It says, do the was the backflip tornado DDT or something like that. It was one of the very early objectives, and it's like, well, lean him up against the rope and do, I think it's right or left stick away from opponent. So I tried it several times, in fact, but it didn't work. It's probably an aptitude on my part, but the controls are not my favorite, but they're also something new, so I'm going to have to get used to it. The game just came out. Need to give it a fair shot. We'll see where I am mentally in a month. Honestly, WWE 2K22 is a fun experience overall, and they've also introduced something new that I barely touched yesterday. It's My Faction. Think about a collectible card game, and then that's all I touched. It was like opening the first pack or so, setting that all up, and never touching it again. Because it's not my thing. Honestly, it's like, I don't get why it's here, but there's a good reason for it, I think. Part of me wants to say the reason, but a good way to get more microtransactions out of you. We're done with the days of DLC, but now we have DLC and microtransactions. So, yeah, I don't know. I just at this point, I'm not surprised. I was gonna do the whole fake microtransaction. Sorry, excuse me. I was gonna do that, but I was like, no, I'm just gonna come out with it and say it's microtransactions and DLC. Gone are the days of just DLC. And here are the days of DLCs and microtransactions, and microtransactions. So, yay, that's a trend in gaming that I've never liked. Personally, though, I don't know if I have any gripes other than the micro being like, oh, Universe, that's the mode I'm forgetting. Universe mode, yes, the staple of WWE games for at least the last decade. Alright, let's talk about it. Hold on. We'll be right back. Continuing on with the universe mode, I had to go to the bathroom. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, that's right. So with universe mode, there's now two different modes. There's superstar mode and classic. Superstar mode allows you to focus on a single superstar, but you can't simulate the matches. Classic is your classic universe mode matches, where you can simulate shows, edit the superstars, create rivalries, all that fun stuff. Wait, hold on. See, I'm trying to figure out where, okay, NVIDIA settings. Sorry, I'm kind of, trying to figure out why my sound isn't working. Sorry. So for people that are curious what's going on, I recently dual booted this machine with Linux, Ubuntu Mate, and Windows 10. And on Windows 10, there's sound output. But in Windows Mate, or Ubuntu Mate, there's no sound at all. But this is common amongst many different installations that I've tried. Whatever. We'll get into that probably during the Unknown Gaming podcast, which at the time of recording takes place tonight. However, back to universe mode. That's something that was definitely unique. I've played a little bit of universe mode. I've been playing the superstar mode. I'm going to do a mode of classic. Which is, it's definitely a unique take, and I can see its merit, and I like it a lot. I do like the different opportunities, because it allows you to play Booker without having to worry about money and logistics and da-da-da. But that's what my gym is for, and it's awesome. But I kind of wish they would take some of the classic universe mode and put it into my GM. That would make more sense. That's actually, to me, a drawback of just my GM in general. It's very limited in what you can do. You can't, create a show. You have to go with what's existing. Or, if you do have something that, okay, so I shouldn't even say you can't create a show, because you couldn't create a show in previous GM modes. But, anyway, let's continue with the gripe. So, in my GM mode, you can't change the number of matches on a card. I think it's 3 matches and 3 promos on a show. But if it's a pay-per-view, it's a lot more. It's double that. That's something I don't like. I do like that you have to manage your roster's stamina and whatever. Stamina and, popularity. And their wishes as well. They have contracts and stuff you have to work with. I do like that. But I really don't like how limited it is, because it seems like you can do a lot more in universe mode. You can actually have a set of rivalries. I played games that are purely booking and management of a wrestling company. For those that have played a game like TEW 2013, TEW 2005 was actually my first experience with those booking simulation games. And those did a lot better job, because not only are you dealing with the logistics and contracts and health and dealing with talent, you also get to manage your rivalries within that. That's the thing. And in each brand, there's only 2 championships. You've got the major and the women's title. You don't have a tag team title. Why is it not there? Why is it not there? Why are all the titles for the brand not there? That doesn't make sense to me. The tag titles are not even, like, the tag titles aren't even there for any brand. I'm doing a SmackDown versus Raw and a NXT versus NXT UK. And guess what? Among all 4 shows, 2 of the belts are there. What in the hell? Like, good grief. You know, something that I used to do with TEW was I would take notes about who I wanted. So, what I was saying was like a booking simulation. It seriously was. You could start your own company, give yourself a budget, or you could join a company with an existing roster pool and work with that roster pool to try and make the best that you could out of it. You know, get the best rating you could, which was, I think, the lowest you could get was like an F minus. And you can only get like an A plus for the highest. So, of course, that's everyone's goal, is to get an A plus. So, I would try and take notes about what feuds I want to try and what matchings did well, even though, you know, the road agents would take those notes for you and it would show up. It's like, I would like to have a written document of, like, things I want to try and things like that. Because basically what that entailed was, I want to get this guy ready to go. Like, if I wanted to push someone to the main event, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to start building X to a championship match at this show or pay-per-view. You start out with pay-per-view appearance or pay-per-view events, weekly pay-per-views, kind of like what TNA did back when they started back in 2003. But, like, that's the thing. That's my gripes with my GM mode, is it's very restrictive. It's missing elements that should be there, but they're not. And they should take the elements of classic universe mode and my GM and mix the two together. That's what I want to see for the next release if EA does not take over the games. Because I think they have something. They could really build off it. This is a good foundation for the next game. But no, if you want to play like simply a wrestling booker simulation, TEW is the way to go. And I will link to their site. I'm gonna try and remember, or at least, you know, go check it out. You can look it up. It's out there. It's on. There are games on Steam, so don't be afraid to give it a shot. You know, I might actually stream it at some point in the near future because I find it to be fun. So anyway, I think that's all the major modes of universe mode, or of 2K22. There's my faction, which I didn't touch on because I don't know enough about it, and I don't think I'm gonna like it. To the showcase, which is your standard showcase minus commentary, which is a minor gripe. It's a good game overall. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. I do not think it's perfect. You know, the My GM mode is missing things. The My Rise is very disjointed, which to me kind of, I don't want to say breaks the immersion, but having no sense of time and no real story, like no real main story, other than, you know, if you're in the right place and you talk to the right person, then you'll be put into a story of sequential chapters, if that makes sense. But there's no, like, fluidity, you know, in a sense, to it. It's very disjointed, and it's very unorganized, I think, at times. So that's just my opinion. Anyway, I don't know what we're going to talk about next week, so stay tuned. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.